We stared at each other. We were close enough to kiss. His eyes darted between my nose and my lips. Then he laughed. It was an easy, uninhibited laugh. It was more giggle than laugh. It could have been the sound a boy makes on being tickled. I would learn to recognize that laugh, high-pitched and sometimes beyond controlling, and love it. The line surged. He was gone. I spotted him in the distance, padding down a platform. We proceeded slowly, my wife and I was, for my part, a little stunned. In the last car we found facing seats with a table between. I put our suitcases up on the rack and paused. The window, the light, the October slant of it. I had been here before, on this very same day of the calendar. 5 years ago, having celebrated our just-marriedness with an impromptu 2-night honeymoon in Little Washington, a village in the Virginia countryside, we were making our way back to New York and boarded this very train. At the time, I was about to suggest to my wife of 48 hours that we celebrate our marriage by quitting our jobs. We were both magazine editors. I was at the New Yorker. She was at Harper's Bazaar. I had prepared a speech about moving to Italy, the first step in the direction of the rest of our lives. I wanted to be taught by Italians how to make their food and write about it. Couldn't we go together? Wasn't really a question. Jessica lived for the next chance to pack her bag and had a mimic's gift for languages, which included, conveniently, the one they speak in Italy, which, as it happens, I couldn't speak at all. We never went back to being editors. We lived in Tuscany for a year, and somehow I went reasonably native, and to my continuing astonishment, when I opened my mouth and uttered a thought, it came out, more or less, in Italian. In the aftermath, I wanted to do France. It wasn't next on the list, as in, then we'll do Japan. It was secretly where I'd wanted to find myself for most of my adult life, in a French kitchen, somehow holding my own, having been actually French-trained, the enduring magic of that phrase. But I could never imagine how that might happen. Our time in Italy showed me that it didn't take much imagining. Just get yourself there and you'll figure it out. Besides, Jessica's gift for languages included, conveniently, the one they speak in France, which, by another coincidence, I also couldn't speak. Jessica, no longer in an office job, had also owned up to a lifelong longing involving wine, its history as ancient as food, and she seemed to have a skill, comparable to knowing a foreign language, of being able to translate what she found in her glass. I bought her a gift, a blind tasting session hosted by Jean-Luc Ledoux, a celebrated New York sommelier and wine merchant, which consisted of 12 great wines from his personal cellar, attended by 15 people, including Jean-Luc's own manager, who had won international awards at blind tasting competitions. Jessica was the only one who identified all 12 wines. Jean-Luc was baffled, and they were his wines. "Where do you work?" he asked her. She started a tasting club at home, 10 women picked by her, educated New York City professionals who all said they love wine but don't know anything about it. She signed up for a course run by the British Wine and Spirit Education Trusts, the so-called WSET, with several levels of advancement culminating in a famously challenging diploma. By her second class, she discovered that she was pregnant. It was a wonderful moment. We promised ourselves that our lives would not change. We would be gypsies, she said. We imagined a worldly infant suspended in a sling contraption. 4 weeks later, she discovered that she was pregnant with twins, boys, the future George and Frederick. This, too, was a wonderful moment, doubly so, but we gave up on the idea of our lives not changing. In fact, we panicked a little. The train pulled out. Baltimore, the first stop, was half an hour away. What we planned to discuss, what Jessica wanted to discuss, was why, after 3 years, my French plan hadn't been realized. Wasn't a mystery, was it? Weren't their names George and Frederick? It also wasn't so complicated. I needed a kitchen, and I hadn't found one yet. Once in a kitchen, I would pick up the skill.